As you all know, I have been waiting a very long time for the WARNO Army General campaign to be released, just like you guys. And today we have some more news regarding its development and information about the actual gameplay mechanics in the game and in the campaign itself. Now, Eugen did post on their YouTube channel a short introduction of the Bruder Krieg campaign, so let's watch that together before we get into all the details.
June 20th, 1989, Germany. The strategic Warsaw Pact's offensive across the inner German border has taken NATO largely by surprise. Facing NATO's CENTAG, the Soviet 8th Guards Army begins its multi-pronged attack at 5 o'clock. The objective is Frankfurt am Main, home to the 5th Corps, a key military target and transport hub. At the frontier, the 11th Armored Cavalry Regiment, with a few isolated battalions, put up fierce resistance for hours. Overwhelming firepower ultimately results in a Soviet breakthrough at Fulda. The armored vanguard surges to Frankfurt. Further north, the flank of the main invasion is assigned to the East German 4th Motorisierte Schützen Division. They advance on Bad Hersfeld. The National Volksarmee aims to press further and seize Asfeld, establishing a covering force. This would protect the Warsaw Pact's axis of attack against any counterstrikes from the Bundeswehr's 5th Panzer Division. NATO has an early chance to disrupt the Soviet thrust on Frankfurt. Warsaw Pact's capture of Asfeld becomes paramount. A series of pitched battles await.
Now, if you've never heard of the Army General campaign, I would recommend you to watch this video that I put together a couple weeks or even months ago, and which will tell you everything you need to know about what it is in general. No pun intended. But to not leave you in the dark completely, let's explain a little bit. It'll be a turn-based / real-time campaign that can be played in either single-player, versus, or co-op. And each fight can be auto-resolved or fought in real-time on maps that correspond roughly with where you are on the larger tabletop-like playground. In total, there will be 5 campaigns, with each focusing on a certain theater of the Greater War, basically World War III. Now today, Eugen released information regarding the smallest campaign that we get to play with, as soon as it is released, which is called Bruder Krieg. Bruder Krieg will be a defensive chapter for NATO's 311th Armored Cavalry Regiment, trying to hold on against the East German 4th Machschützen. Now, a counterattack could be put together with the West 5th Armored if the US forces survive long enough for these reinforcements to arrive. So it'll be a defensive mission. You know, in my humble opinion, is really good. I personally enjoy defensive missions, since this gives the player a bit more leeway to establish a good defensive strategy, and as I have detailed in my bootcamp videos, a good defense makes for a great offense. So this mission is also a great way to help newer players get used to the campaign, and also the game in general. So let's dive into some of the teased features. In this chapter, you'll be met with the 4th Machschützen, who are just racing towards Hersfeld. They are arranged in 2 battle groups that include a vanguard that consists of infantry regiments with wheeled BTRs, so really fast boys, but also tracked PMPs with artillery support, assault engineers, and a recon battalion. So really do expect some strong infantry with plenty of fire support. Behind that, there's a 2nd BTR infantry regiment, a tank regiment, HQ forces, AA, and MLRS battalions. And all you have is the 311th Armored Battalion. Now, even though this chapter is the smallest in the Army General, it really kind of sounds like a tricky amount of units to defend against, and I do wonder how the AI is going to act in these campaigns. That is my biggest kind of question mark. Now, the defending NATO forces consist of the US cavalry that will have to defend until the 5th Panzer reinforcements arrive. The cool thing is, you can decide to either hold in Hersfeld and just try your luck against the massive 4th Machschützen, or you can fall back, save some men but lose some territory, which is both good and bad. It might make your counterattack spread across a larger distance. Now, the flexibility of the campaign, together with how much input the player has, really makes me optimistic about the overall experience. As I said, the only thing that really worries me is how the AI plays in real-time battles, but we will just have to see for ourselves. Now, looking at some of the pictures that Eugen posted, especially this battle plan information screen, we can see some interesting stats here. Now, when a battle is initiated, you can select which groups of units you want to include in this fight, but you have to kind of go through a certain planning process here. Hovering on the 1st combat battalion slot, you will get a list of battalions that you can include here. There's also the artillery, air support, and auxiliary slot, which in this case will be recon units. Now, the combat slots can be filled with infantry, tanks, and helicopter battalions. Auxiliary can be used by recon, territorial, militia, or engineers. Artillery can of course be used by artillery, towed or self-propelled guns, or MLRS units, and the air can be of course filled with ground attack planes, fighters, and siege squadrons. Now, something that is new in the Army General in WARNO compared to Steel Division, besides everything that I've already mentioned previously, is the tactical choices option. These are random events during the campaign, during any part of the campaign, that gives you a couple of options. In this example, you can decide to either get an MLRS battalion as a reinforcement or a Panzergrenadier battalion as a reinforcement. Each option will of course affect your capabilities on the battlefield, which I think is a nice and simple way to make the campaigns a bit more dynamic. Is nice. It kind of limits whatever forces you have at your disposal, which really makes you have to worry a bit more about conserving certain units. One cool detail about the Broederkrieg chapter is that it only uses a small portion of the general map. The entire map will be used in all the campaigns that we get to play with, all with their own formations, unit compositions, random events, scenarios, etc. That will potentially give us dozens, if not, I hope, hundreds of hours of gameplay, especially since they're quite replayable depending on which type of strategy you want to try out next, or the next time you play it. Now, I do hope that this short video gave you something to look forward to. I know it's not, a release date or actual gameplay footage, but I'm just excited about it. I really hope that the single player campaign or the single player aspect of WARNO is something that is going to be a huge part of the WARNO experience, and not just something you kind of try and then forget about and then jump back into multiplayer, because I really do think that they can make some amazing content with the Army General if they do it right. If this video did help you out, you know what to do, and as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys back in the next one. Take care.